nothing was helping my numbers, but I felt better. When I went to that doctor's office, I just had a sense of they're going to help me to get better. I felt emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything in my mind got better.
Hello, this is Matt Helton with OneTrust Home Loans. We're your reverse mortgage experts, and you found the Serving Seniors podcast. Now, this is where we highlight those people and those businesses that help seniors not just survive, but thrive in retirement. And today we have another one of those awesome people. We have Miss Jennifer Parker, and she's going to share her personal journey and how patient advocacy saved her. And she wants you to learn from her story how it can help you and help your family. So, Jennifer, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thanks so much for allowing me to be on your podcast.
Well, thank you for all you've done and the courage to share your journey and taking it to help other people. That's amazing. That is amazing. We look forward to learning. So maybe, Jennifer, could you take us back from the beginning? Take us back from the start, who you are, where you're from, and then bring us up to speed how you got where you are today.
Okay. So my name is Jennifer Parker, and I live in West Tennessee, live in Lexington, Tennessee. I was born in Tennessee, but after 6 months, we moved to Chicago, moved back to Tennessee when I was 16.
Got it.
So I've been here for a whole lot longer than I was in Chicago.
Got it.
But my journey starts actually in July of 2005. My oldest daughter was getting ready to go to college, and we had a very busy summer. My youngest daughter was in 4th grade. She was doing competitive cheerleading, and my daughter was also cheerleading. So we had a lot going on. And I realized the week before we were going to leave for her orientation that I was like 3 months behind in getting my yearly physical.
Okay.
So I called for an appointment, couldn't get it until September. And something told me not to wait.
Okay.
Yeah, this was in July. I didn't want to wait till September since I had already put it off, which I should not have done. But so I called my primary care provider, and he was able to get me in on Monday the following week, which was perfect because Tuesday was when we left for orientation.
Okay.
So he did the breast exam. He did find a lump, and something that I wasn't expecting because there was no family history. It was very unexpected. And he, of course, immediately wanted to order a diagnostic mammogram. And I asked him to please wait till Thursday because we were leaving Tuesday to go and do this thing, our first child going off to college. And we had this big trip planned. So he did. Thursday, I had the mammogram. They did find the lump. And at that time, because this was 20 something years ago, they would set you up with the surgeon to do the biopsy. And so from me having a clinical lab background, I knew that they could do a test that would prevent me from having to wait. We had already decided if it was cancer. When we talked to the surgeon, if it was cancer, we were going to do a mastectomy.
Okay.
And so when I went into that appointment to see him, I asked him if he could order a frozen section. And that way, if it was, they would take the specimen to the lab right then, they would test it, they would see, and if it was malignant, they would call back, and then they would do the surgery. It was malignant. They did the mastectomy. And one of the things that doctor did before, when we were in his office, before we left his office, after we had talked about doing the frozen section, he asked me if he could show me something. And I said, sure. He had his Bible. He opened up to his Bible to what he said was the center and said, do not put your trust in it. No, it is better to put your trust, that's a mess up, in God than man. Wow. And it's Psalms 118:8. And that really was something that I needed. And that after that, I took chemo, I took radiation, and that part of my journey was fine. I was sick a few times. I was working on my master's in education at the time, And I was able to graduate and, do the graduation by, the end of the year. And so that went well. Fast forward 2021, when I decided that I love what I was doing with my floral business. My daughter crunched the numbers and I said, okay, we can do this. We don't have a lot. We don't need a lot of money. So I'm going to retire.
That's awesome.
And I said, if Labor Day is on a Friday, I'm going to retire. As I would have been 59 and a half on that Labor Day.
Okay.
Labor Day is the day after September the 3rd, I'm going to retire. So it was, and so I did. Less than 3 months later, I was diagnosed with chemotherapy-induced congestive heart failure. I just, out of the blue, I just got real sick. We were actually in Alabama at the time at my daughter's. Went to the doctor. He ordered the correct test, and it was right after COVID. So I figured he's probably just going to order a COVID test. He didn't. He ordered the correct test and found out that I had congestive heart failure. And he immediately wanted to start doing tests. I was like, no, we don't live here. I want to go home and have this done. And so that's what I did. I came to Jackson. It's where I worked and where I had that done. And for 6 months, I wore a life vest.
Okay.
And then after the life vest, they implanted a defibrillator. And I had more good days than I had bad days.
Yeah.
But toward the end of that year of 2021, I started it was just unbearable. It was hard to breathe. It was hard to sleep. It was just so hard. I was swelling all the time. I wound up being in the hospital twice within 45 days. And that second time that I was in the hospital, they had never changed my medication. They didn't up it, they didn't lower, but they did add something to the regimen that I was on. Okay. And it was causing like 8 out of 15 side effects. I was having them. And it wasn't changing my numbers, so it wasn't helping me. Mm-hmm. And so my husband said, he told the doctor he was the provider that was on call. He told him, she can't continue to take this medicine because she's having too many side effects. The doctor didn't like that. Wow. And my husband simply repeated, she can't continue taking this medicine because it's causing too many side effects.
Sure.
And so he was advocating for me. And at first, when I first had my breast cancer, I advocated for myself. I went in and I asked the doctor if he could do the frozen section. I didn't say, I know you can do this, you need to do this. I just asked him, can you order a frozen section? Mm-hmm. My husband said, she can't continue doing this. He didn't change his tone of voice. He stayed calm and he repeated exactly what he said. Mm-hmm. So when my youngest daughter found out about this, she took it upon herself, which I don't know where my mind was, where I was, but I wasn't advocate. I was just going along with the flow. But she reached out to my cousin who is a nurse practitioner. She works in Birmingham, Alabama. And she also, this cousin 20-something years ago, had gotten my mother a rheumatologist because we only had one rheumatologist in Jackson. So she was going to UAB for treatments there. And so she found me another cardiologist. And this was literally like, I was in the hospital that Tuesday when that happened. By that Friday, I was in Birmingham, Alabama at a cardiovascular clinic, seeing another provider.
Wow.
And, I guess it's like a pill that you take when nothing was helping my numbers, but I felt better. When I went to that doctor's office, I just had a sense of they're going to help me to get better. I felt emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything in my mind got better. Wow. And it was actually in this, close to the winter season was over where it wasn't that bad. And I just started feeling better. Mm. They changed my medicine. And after I started doing my own research, and I thought that's usually what they do with the medication I was on. It started at one dose and moved it up. So he did that. And within 3 months, they wanted to see if a pacemaker would help because I still wasn't getting any better. So since I had the mastectomy, there was some scar tissue, and they wanted to make sure that they could do the pacemaker to make sure that they didn't get in there and they couldn't do it. They did a test to make sure that they could. So they could. They called us back in, and this was another doctor. It was an electrophysiologist that worked in that clinic with my cardiovascular. And so when we got there, they said, you can do the pacemaker, but we can do the pacemaker, but we have Dr. King and I, which they were consulting about what to do, have consulted with the transplant team at University of Alabama, Birmingham. And we've decided that you need to consult with them before we do the pacemaker. And I was like, I didn't feel that bad. I never at any point in that time thought that I would have to have a transplant. Thought that I just never did because I never felt that bad because my numbers were just, they were bad. They were bad. And when I think about that now, those doctors advocated for me with UAB, and then UAB advocated for me before I ever stepped foot in their doors. And that was just something that, but this was something that I asked the doctor before I agreed to go and talk to UAB. I asked him, I said, Dr. Ben, if I was your mother, because he looked like he was 24, I said, if I was your mother, what would you tell me to do?
Awesome question.
And he said, that's exactly what he said, Ms. Parker, that's an excellent question. If you were my mother or my sister, I would tell you to go and consult with UAB. And so I believed him. I agreed. And before we left, he said they're going to be calling you with an appointment as soon as they can get one. And if they say it's okay to do the heart cath, to do the pacemaker, then we'll do it. And I know he knew that I wasn't coming back. He knew that there was no way that I could survive. They didn't want to do something that could probably help me. They wanted to save my life.
Wow.
And that just speaks volumes for the difference in care that I received. And, my husband advocated for me, my daughter did. And we just need people to realize that they can ask questions. They need to ask questions. Their life is worth asking questions, and I didn't ask for a second opinion. I didn't say that. And I don't tip. We just found someone else. And I just went and canceled the appointments that I had with them.
That is, that's awesome. Well, maybe fill us in. So that shows you that you had so many people helping you, including the first time you helped yourself.
Exactly.
Not everybody has that, right? So maybe share with us what you learned through that process and how people should advocate for themselves, but also to what you're doing now that you've been through that journey to help people.
Yes. Well. And one of the things that I've created, which I'll use in my my talk that I do next month, is like just a form for patients to fill out before they even make the appointment, after they make the appointment, before they go to the doctor. And I can't share that here, but one of the things that they can is just ask questions. Before when they make the appointment, ask them, is there going to be something that you're going to be telling me that I need to have someone with me to communicate? Ask them that if they're telling you something, if you can't understand it, ask them to write it down for you so you can take it and refer back to it later or have someone else to look at it, and just be that voice for yourself and try your best to have someone else, if they can't, to be there with them. And even if you're in a location, ask for a patient advocate that may be on staff that could come with you and be there for you, because things are turning around where patients are being heard and policies are being put in place to where they're trying to do better. They're trying to provide more patient-centered, compassionate care than that we're not used to,
So that's great advice. Well, it sounds like you've got a good tool there. How, maybe as we wrap up here, could you fill us in on how you can help about your speaking engagements and what you do to serve seniors and serve patients?
How can I'm sorry, what would you repeat that, Matt? I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe fill us in on how you personally can help
How a person can help.
as
Yes,
far as patients and speaking engagements.
yes. I can send you my information and what I've done for this I call it a patient empowerment toolkit, is I can have it available for if on your website, on your whatever, for patients to come and they can download it. Just, I'll have a QR code that they can use to just look it up and download it on their phone. They can print it off to take to the doctor's office if they want to. If they download it to their phone, they can save it in notes and have it ready when they, go for their appointments. Because a lot of times, we're going to appointments, we're waiting for 45 minutes before we ever get back to see the doctor. By the time we get back there, they're in a hurry, we're ready to go home. And we shouldn't leave things unsaid just because if they're in a hurry, then we need to have those questions ahead of time. And a lot of times, one of the things that we don't think about doing is like when we make an appointment, it may be 5 weeks down the road. So we need to discuss, and we're saying, this is the reason I'm coming in, but is the doctor asking, do you have any other things since you made the appointment that we need to talk about?
Wow.
So that's on that form as well, to make sure before you go back there with the doctor, if you're having some new concerns, tell the nurse so they can make sure that they're addressed.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, maybe fill folks in how they would connect with you, as well as where you're open to go for speaking engagements, travel, things like that.
I am open for globally. This is a problem not just in the United States. It's a problem everywhere. Everyone needs to realize that patients, need compassionate care. They need to be heard. They need to be able to use their voice. But my email address is japarkerspeaks@gmail.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, and it's Jennifer Parker, MED.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
You can find me there.
That's so, Jennifer, what I love about your story is that most people find a reason to get mad, get frustrated, complain, but they don't ever do anything about it, and they let alone they sulk in their misery, but they also don't use their challenges to help others. And you did the opposite, right? You probably had your downtime. We all do, but you got yourself back up. You got through it thanks to your family. But most importantly, you said, you know what, this isn't just an issue for me. It's an issue for other people as well.
Exactly.
How can I make sure this doesn't happen to any more people than it has to? So
exactly.
Awesome.
And that's my goal. And I'm so thankful to, because I got a heart transplant within 29 days of being admitted to the hospital, because I just went for a consultation and he literally told me, to sum it up, we're going to admit you to the hospital today. While you're here, we're going to do an evaluation for a heart transplant, and you may not get to go home until you receive a heart.
Wow.
And so, I advocate for organ donor transplantation, for, breast cancer awareness, because there are, things in breast cancer that are being delayed. So, yeah.
That's so awesome. Well, that's fantastic, Jennifer. And we know that health issues can really bring people down. And so so awesome that you're taking care of that. And then we also know financial concerns can drag people down. So that's where we come in, if we're able to help them, one, have money to pay for health issues, but also two, just everyday expenses, because a lot of folks, there's so much equity out there, but everyone is scared to touch it. And that's what we do, is show them how to ethically, efficiently use a little bit of their equity to improve their situation, just like you're showing them how to improve their health.
Right. That's great. And I appreciate you putting me on here to talk about something that you probably normally don't talk about.
Hey, that's so awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate you connecting with me. Thanks for all you're doing. And thank you for helping seniors as well as other patients out there. The world needs more people like you.
All right. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And thank you for watching this episode of the Serving Seniors podcast, where we highlight these awesome people like Jennifer that have a passion to help seniors thrive in retirement. Thanks again. We'll see you on the next episode. Talk to you soon. Hey, this is Matt Helton with OneTrust Home Loans, home of retirement mortgage solutions. And we really do appreciate you checking out the Serving Seniors podcast today. Now, please go to the description down in the body of the podcast where you can subscribe to get future shows. Please click that notification button so you get notified when other shows drop. And also, if you can go to servingseniourspodcast.com, and we'd love to hear a comment about our show. We have a heart to serve seniors, and we have a heart to make sure seniors don't just survive retirement, don't just get by in retirement. We want to show seniors how to thrive in retirement. So if you know of anyone that's 55 and older that could use some extra cash flow, maybe the retirement's not going the way that they like, our retirement mortgage solutions are designed for folks, depending on the state, they're either 55 or 62 and older, to make sure that they have that kind of retirement that they want. As long as they own a home and they're in a good equity position, there could be some solutions that they may not have thought about, or maybe they've thought of and they just didn't know how they work. That's what we do. So anyone in that age group that could use some mortgage advice, my team and I would love to be able to help them. Thanks again, and look forward to seeing you on the next show. Have a great day.